Join me as I turn this into this. My DIY Pom Pom Bunnies. It's almost Easter and we are gonna make these cute Pom Pom Bunnies. It's a super easy craft and you might have everything that you need around the house already. So welcome to Social Crafts. If this is your first time here, we post a new video every Wednesday, either doing a DIY craft or a food recipe tutorial. So please consider subscribing below. We would love to have you along and show up in your inbox. And yeah, let's get back to these little cute bunnies. This is a great craft if you have kids to do with kids. If you don't, this is a great, relaxing, fun craft to do on your own. Easy to achieve and just turns out so cute. Makes a great Easter decoration, or even not Easter. If you just love bunnies, then let's just make one of these, you know? So let's get started. I'm gonna show you the materials you need for this craft. All the supplies are listed below in the description, as well as the links of where you can find them to purchase them. So you'll need some chunky yarn. You really only need one color, but I'll show you 3 different colors I'm thinking about using. But it does help for it to be chunky yarn. Then you'll need some white craft pom-poms, scissors, some beads for the nose and eyes, a hot glue gun, and some felt for the ears. We're gonna start by taking the color yarn that we choose for our bunny and take 2 of your fingers and start wrapping the yarn around those 2 fingers. We're making the small pom-pom for the head. And you'll start wrapping those around your 2 fingers about 40 times. If you're using a lot skinnier yarn, you'll want to do a lot more times. But if you're using this chunky yarn, I found about 40 times around your 2 fingers will do it. After you're done with that, go ahead and cut the pom-pom from the rest of the yarn. And before you take it off, go ahead and cut another piece of yarn, maybe about, 10 inches long. Place it down. Then you're gonna wiggle the yarn off of your fingers. Trying to keep it in the same ball that it was. You're gonna place the ball of yarn right on top of that piece of yarn you just cut. And it'll move around a little bit, so kind of, work with it. And you're gonna tie that piece of yarn around the whole ball of yarn that you just wrapped around your fingers. So don't go, in between or anything. Just place that whole ball of yarn on top of that piece of string and tie it all around the whole thing. And then you're going to double knot. I figured out a way to double knot things by myself without having to use another person's finger, but if you have another person nearby, it might help to keep it tight. So double knot that, and then you'll see all these loops around the edges. See how they're all loops? We're gonna cut those. So take your sharp scissors. I used fabric scissors in this, in here because they're just so sharp. And you're gonna cut through all of those loops. So you're just gonna go around the whole circle and just kind of tuck your scissors in there and cut through the loops. And that middle string you tied around it is gonna keep everything intact. So you don't wanna cut that, which you shouldn't really get to because all the loops are pretty much on the outside. And you're gonna look in there and see if there's any more loops that you've missed. And you're gonna get this ball that's really obscure looking. It doesn't look very symmetrical, and we will fix that. So go ahead and just keep going around the whole ball to make your pom-pom and cut those loops so they're not loops anymore. I like to fluff it around a little bit to see if I can find any more loops that are hiding in there. Pulling the yarn apart. Just looking for more loops, seeing if I got them all. And you'll see it's a pretty obscure shape, it needs a little work. And so this is when we start to trim. So I start with the ends that seem the longest, and I just kind of take bigger chunks out of there, trying to also eyeball the areas that are the shortest. And that's about how far we're gonna end up going down trimming this. But I like to work slowly because I don't like to take too big of chunks off and then all of a sudden you have a hole. But you'll see here I take my time and I keep going around the pom-pom. I'll fluff it a little bit, then cut a little more, making sure everything is pretty smooth, pretty round. I'll do that and I'll see like, okay, this other side over here is really like out of shape. And then I'll poof it again and then I'll cut a little more. And so I trim it up until I get a really nice looking round ball. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but it does, you want it to look not so crazy and a little more just round. All right, and we're looking pretty good here. Next, we're gonna work on the body of the bunny. So we're gonna do the same technique we did for the head, only we're gonna use our whole hand for the wrap of the pom-pom. So you're gonna go ahead and use the same yarn and wrap it around your hand. Not too tight, it doesn't have to be super tight, but just enough so it's wrapping around your hand evenly. And this time we do it about 60 to 70 times. You want this body to be a lot bigger, and you'll just keep wrapping until you've done it about 60 to 70 times. And then like we did with the head, we're gonna cut it off and then grab another piece of yarn before you take it off your hand. Wiggle the pom-pom off of your hand. And like we did with the head of the bunny, we are going to place the whole ball right on top of that piece of yarn. And then we're going to tie it super tight and double knot it, just like before. And then just like we did before, we are going to, I like to make sure that piece that we just tied is right in the center. So we have as much of a chance as we can to get a good even pom-pom. And like we did before, go ahead and go around and cut open all of the loops that are formed right there. And we will start making our pom-pom. So we cut all those loops like we did for the head, and then you'll see like it was before, it's all a little kind of crazy and whirly and not even, and then we just start to trim and trim and trim until we get a nice dense pom-pom. Takes a little time, so be patient with yourself. Just fluff, trim, and we're getting there. And look how cute. Like, we got this cute little ball for the body. Kind of hold them together to see if they look good. And all right, looking good. Next, we're gonna work on the ears. I cut out the ears in paper first, and then I'm tracing them on to the felt with Sharpie. And then I'm cutting them out, so I'm cutting them inside the Sharpie line, so no Sharpie ends up actually on my ears. So I go ahead and trace again, trace on the outside, and then cut in the inside. Next, kind of put them together, see how they're looking. For this one, I wanted them a little bit shorter, the white bunny, I left them the long length, but for this one, I wanted them a little bit shorter, so I just trimmed them a little bit. And now I'm just gonna glue them together. So I glue the inside part of the ear, the pink part, onto the gray part, and I just do this for both ears. For this one as well, I decided to push the ends of the ears together for this bunny. For the white bunny, I just left them flat and put them in as they are. But for this bunny, I just wanted them a little bit, tiny bit different. So before I put them actually in, like on the bunny head, I put a tad bit of glue and then just fold them into each other, hold it so they stay like that. And then I also do this for the other ear. And then before I put the ears in, I really want to just see the head on the body. So I attach the head onto the body with just a bunch of hot glue, push it in together, let it cool, and there we go. Then I push the yarn apart on the head for where I want the ears to go. I put just a tad bit of glue inside the yarn, put the ear in, and then push the yarn around the base of the ear. And I'll do this for the other side as well. And just feel free to shape them so they're not sticking all the way up if you want. Give it a little character. Next, we're gonna attach the tail. And I like to put the tail not on the direct back of the bunny. I like to put it a little bit back and on the top. So when you're looking at the bunny from the front, you can then also see the tail from the front side. So put a little hot glue there, look at where you want to place it, and go ahead and just place it on your bunny and let it dry. Fluff it up a little bit. Next are the nose and the eyes. Just put a tiny, tiny dab of glue. That's where this fine point hot glue gun comes in. I'll put it in the description below if you don't have a fine point hot glue gun. But just a tiny little bit of glue for the eyeballs. This is really handy if you have nails like I do. If you don't, you can obviously use like an end of a pencil or a pen to push the eyeballs in. And you're just gonna push the eyes in there. I used 2 black beads, little beads that I just had around the house. And then we're gonna do the nose as well. And for the nose, I used just this pearl bead that I had also around the house. If you don't have either of these, there's probably something around the house that you can use for eyes and nose if you don't wanna go out and buy them. Then kind of clean it up, get all the hot glue off of it, and you got a bunny. You can use so many different yarn colors. It's just the cutest. Look how cute it is. And there you go. There's your little Pom Pom Bunnies. They turn out so cute. I just love them so, so much. Remember, if you like this video, please subscribe below, ring the little bell so you get our notifications. And also, don't forget to follow us on Pinterest, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe. So do all the things, and let's keep in touch. Let's craft together a little bit more, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining.